And we're recording. Thank you, Raven, for being on this episode of Reawaken Right Relationship. It is such a delight to have you here. And I have to tell the listening audience right off the top that we're going to giggle. Because we always giggle when we talk. And we've worked together for years. So it's just an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Yay! Thank you for having me here. Yay!
You're so welcome. And the way I met you, I think, is because we got to talking about dragons online. Is that the truth?
Yes. Yes.
Both being dragon lovers, and, you know, they're mythical creatures. And I think it's so easy to, you know, look at the puppy dogs and the horses and the kitty cats and even the snakes here and see them because they are right in front of our physical. But when we start talking about mythical animals, I mean, that adds a whole layer to what we are talking about, doesn't it?
Definitely, definitely.
Yes, yes. So right relationship is what this show is about. How do you experience right relationship?
So right relationship or right thinking, you know, is a very indigenous person's point of view. I've heard that from so many elders from around the world. And it's really about including yourself in nature. That, you know, oftentimes we exclude ourselves. We see ourselves above or the caretakers, but really we are part of nature. These are our brothers and sisters. And really looking at our brothers and sisters aren't just the ones looking at our faces or the ones we have to feed every night. Our brothers and sisters are literally everything around us. So the standing tall trees, to the stone nation, to the creepy crawlies, to that little rat that's out there eating your bird seed, to, you know, everything else around us is our brothers and sisters, including the unseen. So the unseen are those dragons, unicorns, mystical animals, you know, things that we make our mythology around. Sasquatch, you know, I live out here in the Northwest in Seattle, Washington. Actually, I'm further out in Monroe, Washington on the Cascade foothills, and we definitely have Sasquatches, Bigfoots out here. And because we don't see them, or very rarely, those are part of our unseen family. So that right relationship is having a relationship, realizing we are part of their family and they are part of us, seen or unseen.
And it's so easy, like, you know, we've both said, to have that relationship with what is seen. But how the heck do you develop a relationship with what is unseen?
Good question.
Yeah.
One is giving yourself permission to believe in the make-believe. At a very early age, what I've noticed is a lot of people, you know, starting at that early age, is we are told to be a big girl, be a big boy. There's no such thing as ghosts. There's no such thing as monsters. There's no such thing as dragons. And you have to grow up. And because our inner child never leaves us, it stays with us, it is also in control of our third eye in seeing. So because I've been helping people for over 20 years how to see spirits and their guides, family, and ancestors, this is a big issue because a lot of people can't perceive that spirit world or interact with it. And so they have to work on that. What part is holding them back? And that comes down to that inner child. So respecting that inner child, making that inner child safe, and then giving it permission to believe in fairies, dragons, and unicorns helps to open up your senses, your third eye, to be able to perceive that realm better. And that doesn't mean just seeing with your eyes. Sometimes it's a feeling, a knowing, a smell, a taste, and sometimes it's just believing in the make-believe. If you love dragons, if you love unicorns, and you have tons of pictures and jewelry, because I know both of us have our jewelry on, we have an innate relationship with those dragons, and we believe in the make-believe. We know, we have a knowing that they're around here, guarding us, protecting us, loving us.
So when somebody says it's only your imagination, instead of us going, oh, it's only my imagination, we should go, yay, it's my imagination.
Exactly, because your imagination is your third eye, which is your spirit perception. It's all linked together.
Yes, yes. Okay, now I think we've talked about this before. One of the stories that I've heard is that the reason that the dragons have left is because people don't believe in them. And now they're starting to come back because more people are starting to believe with them. Would you say yay or nay to that?
Well, there's different takes on this different story. It's not that we didn't believe in them. It's because of an agreement that we made with them. So long ago, when Earth was forming, Mother Earth gave us physical form because it's part of our contract here on the planet. We were given physical form to bring energy. We have an ability to connect the heavens above to the earth below. It's one of the things that the human body does. And so with that, Mother Earth has used that energy to transform. Right now, we're seeing that. That's why there's a big awakening and so many shifts on the planet. Literally, scientists are seeing stones change their polarity. Literally, our poles on the Earth are changing because Mother Earth is changing. So with that, us coming onto the physical, and like any good 2 or 3-year-old, we got in a fight with our brothers and sisters. We really got in a bad fight. So the angels and humans on one side and the fairies and dragons on the other had a huge balls out fight. It was horrible. So the Star Nation came down and arbitrated and said, look, you guys all have to get along on your mother. So they made a spirit realm, or what we know to be the veil, the spirit realm, all that. So the dragons actually helped form, putting wingtip to wingtip together to create the spirit realm. We see that in the Aurora Borealis. That's why the native peoples have always considered that their relatives or ancestors in the sky, because it is literally that spirit realm touching the earth, and it's a physical representation of it. Now in 2012, why that was so huge was that the contract for that agreement, that the fairies would stick to the dark woods, a lot of different beings, including the angels, had to go to the spirit realm, and the division, that ended in 2012. The dragons are literally starting to drop their wings. So yes, they're coming back more physically. We're seeing them in cloud formations, but we're also seeing them in our popular culture, and our movies and books, because it's not just in our imagination. They're pushing their energy onto the physical because their wings are dropping, and the spirit realm and the now realm is becoming now. When I sat with the Aborigine elders said there is no dream time, it's now time. And again, reflecting that there's no division, it's coming together. It's the reason why your house plants behind you are saying, we'd like a drink of water. The voice is getting louder.
I know. It's really dry here. And I watered them a couple of days ago. I know. I know. So guys, I'm going to be doing that after this. Okay. Hang on. We're almost there. I promise. And it's really interesting. I would invite the listening audience to think back what they were experiencing in 2012. Because, okay, first of all, since you've been talking, truth bumps over my whole body. Okay. And it's just like, yes, when I get those, it's like, yes, this is the information that needs to go out. But in 2012, I had moved from Minneapolis to a little town southwest of that. Remember, Raven?
Yep.
And I'm going, Raven, there's dragons here. Am I going crazy? And you're going, no, you're not going crazy.
Yeah, most definitely. They move us like acupuncture needles all over Mother Earth to activate those areas. Yes. So a lot of us have experienced huge changes in the last couple of years. I was moved from one side of my valley to the other side because they needed the energy to shift, including my big 50-foot medicine wheel and 42 5-gallon buckets of stones I had to haul to move it all. So I totally get it. It's part of our for those of us that are caretakers of Earth, or connected to our brothers and sisters, and we make that agreement to be a voice for them, like you are too, is that they do move us around so that we can connect to different energies and give a voice. And that's this information I'm sharing with you. It was from the dragons. I channeled it. I've been writing it into a book. Yay! Finally writing a book of mine I've been promising to do. But they have been working with us. They've always been mentors and teachers. And when we rang the bells and blew the horns, it wasn't for a dragon attack. It was actually to tell the humans to come together for wisdom. But they've always been reflections, mirrors for us. So because humanity went pretty greedy, again, think 2, 3-year-old, I want, we didn't like what we saw in the mirror, and we cast them as bad guys. Not all cultures did. Asian communities still really celebrate the dragon. Some druidic orders really celebrate the dragon. The dragon was in the land. But a lot of times in pulpy culture, dragons are the bad guys. And they had to be like James Dean, because, every story needs a protagonist. So the dragon was that. But when you get past the horns and fangs, what you get is love, because it literally, their fire is the fire of central sun, of love, of creation. So yeah, I'm so glad you found that flame too.
Oh, I know. And it's life-changing. And I find that the dragons, at least there where I was in the Midwest, they're so different from the dragons that are out here in Montana. I mean, it's like big difference. And it's like, and maybe this is the way they introduced themselves to me. The ones that I first met were small, and they were kind of tiny and cuddly, and they'd sit up in the trees and they'd watch, and just kind of like really sweet little ones. And maybe that was my introduction to them. And out here, it's just like, whoa, big time.
You're getting the adult ones.
Yeah, it's like I do not, and this is aggravating to me, is I do not have the words to experience, to tell you how I experience the dragon, because to me, there are no words for that experience.
Gotcha.
And it's very frustrating. Yes, it's very primal. It's more of a feeling than, saying, oh yeah, well, today the dragon said. Now, there is some of that, okay? But most of it, it's like gut. It's in the gut.
Oh yeah, gut or center, and that's unusual because I work with all different realms. I'm a voice for all beings from all realms, and you can kind of tell when you work with an angel or a star nation because you kind of filled up in your head in the upper realms. That's the heaven realm. But when you work with like animals or ancestors or fairy, it's very like emotional and like deeper down, kind of in your gut or lower. Dragons hit you right in the middle in that solar plexus because they literally are beings of manifestation. So if you want to manifest things, if you need strong boundaries, if you need to be cleansed and cleared, dragons are your ally, but they're always there. Even if you've never worked with a dragon, believe it or not, you probably have them working with you because they're the gatekeepers or doorkeepers of energy. So they're always around, but when we become more conscious of it, it allows us to have a deeper relationship with them, a right relationship.
Yes, exactly. And I like that term, right relationship, because it is so true that we do need to be in right relationship. And sometimes being in right relationship doesn't mean everything is, fuzzy wuzzy and warm unicorns and everything. Sometimes shit hits the fan in order there to be, right relationship.
And dragons are all about respect. So if you're not respecting yourself, if you're lacking in that department, you're going to get blasted. And that's okay. Sometimes we do need that rug pulled out from underneath our feet. And that's the big thing with working with dragons. It is all about respect. So one of the things I teach when working with your dragon guide, and if you're going into a meditation, shamanic journey to meet this guide and you have a dragon come forward, that first thing you should do is bow, show respect, because you are a grain of sand compared to this giant energy. And it's just a dragon culture thing. And it's, again, if you've never worked with a dragon, you wouldn't know to do that. So you bow and respect, they will bow back, which is our terminology, namaste. I honor the being you are as you honor the being I am. And in each other, we show respect. So isn't that beautiful? So that's one of the things they do, is they respect. And then that starts the relationship in the right way. And it is those little common little things we do at the beginning that sets us up for a beautiful relationship.
It's kind of like those magical words that we learned when we were kids. Please, may I, and thank you.
Yes.
If we go along those, you're not going to go wrong. Okay. You might need to expand on it, but if you start off with that, you've got a good base to start with. Oh, I've got to tell you, Raven. Okay. So, I do tarot and I love doing the tarot, and I have like a zillion and 7 decks, but that's another show. That's another story. But anyway, so at Christmas time, I think it was Christmas time. Anyway, a month or so ago, I was playing on the App Store and I found this Celtic Dragon Tarot app. Okay, I'll send you the link. I'll put it on the page too. And I downloaded it because, why not? I'm on the App Store and it's dragons, and it's fun. Let's go for it. I have never had such an accurate tarot deck to work with.
Nice.
I mean, from the get-go, this deck and I have bonded like you cannot believe. And the wonderful thing about it is that I have, when I'm working with different decks, it takes me a while. It takes us a while to get into relationship with each other. And some we get in relationship and some we don't. Okay. And that's life. But with this one, it was like from the get-go, it was like, we're meant to work together. The time is now. So talking to me, get your butt in gear and let's start doing some of this stuff.
That sounds very dragon.
Yeah, very dragon. They don't mince with words. So I've been doing a daily card each day. I figured that was a good way to start out. And with some of them, the cards, it has just been, again, get your butt in gear. Okay, this. We're not going to do it for you. We're going to support you, but we're not going to do what you already know how to do. So, then sometimes I can go into my little wimpy voice and, oh, I don't know what to do. Poor Janet, kind of thing. And I love that they have the love and the support to say, no, you know what to do. You need to do it. Now, luckily, none of them have blown any fire at me thus far. Okay. But part of it, I think, is me learning to work with them on a deeper level. And it's a more profound level, so to speak, than what I've done in the past, and it's just like, I can trust that deck as just as much as I can trust my eyes looking out the window saying, I'm seeing snow right now.
Yeah. Well, and it's all about empowerment, because dragons, one of the things that, because I channel different dragons, and Grandfather Dragon came through and he said something so profound. He's like, you always show us guarding treasure, but do you realize what treasure we're guarding? We guard you because you are our treasure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that blew my mind. I'm the treasure, because we don't always value ourselves. We don't really see our power and really express it. When you stand in that fire, don't be afraid of the fire. Standing into the fire, because it is the fire of creation, it burns away all the illusion. It burns away all the, and allows really you to stand forward. I dragon bathe all the time. And the great thing is, when you work with the dragons, they share that fire with you. So I've learned how to bring that fire into me to get the billows going, to really feel that. I see that egg of whatever I'm trying to manifest in there, and that dragon curl around me to protect that egg that I'm manifesting. And wow, manifesting and bringing stuff forward is very, very powerful. But it's also protecting you when you are going through deep things, because it's a very comforting time right now to take care of ourselves. And last year for me, it was huge year of comforting, because I lost my mom. That was really tough to lose that. So the dragons and and I could talk about some other mythical beasts, came forward to really help me in protecting me and giving me that space of comfort when I went into the cave and kind of brooded for a while. I needed that, and that dragon gave me that space and helped me to respect that that's a normal process, and it was okay to have big old crocodile tears and some dragon breath too. I had a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Now, do you find it sometimes that it's almost easier to work with the dragons than it is maybe to work with an animal who's right in front of your nose in the physical?
Yes and no. It just, again, depends. Again, from a young age, I'm a seer, oracle. So I've been able to see since I was very young. And because I had a hard time connecting with other children, it was easier for me to talk and have a relationship with the unseen. So it was easier for me to talk with them. And let me tell you, my parents had to hide all the Sharpie markers when I was about 3 years old, because I had drawn dragon tattoos all over my body. So I've been in relationship with the dragons since I was very little, because I've just always known they're there protecting me. With an animal, it's like, on some ways that's easier because it's physical, and it's easier for us to make a connection when it's physical. It's the reason why we have our dragon earrings and our dragon statues. I've got all my little statues and things around me, because again, we then can take that unseen and make it physical. But I don't know. It just depends on how you're wired. Some people find it a lot easier with animals because they can make that emotional connection, and you have to work just a little bit harder when it's unseen. There's a level of belief in there and faith when you're working with the unseen. So it just depends on how you're wired and what you're comfortable with. I find that people that are more wired in the thinking and the upper realms tend to gravitate and connect more with the spirit realm first, versus the animals, because you have to be more connected emotionally to be able to talk to them, because they talk at an emotional level. So it depends on how you're wired, and respect that. That's okay.
Yeah. So it's different things for different folks, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yes. How do the dragons choose us?
Well, a couple different ways. We can call them and they could come. It really doesn't surprise me you have the little ones come to you first, because baby dragons or fairy dragons come to humans first because they're very curious. That's part of their training, is they have to work with humans. And the baby dragons and fae dragons help with that inner child. So when we're trying to open up and try to see the spirit realms, you get those beings that help do that healing and help open that up so you ultimately could talk to more spirit. So that makes total sense. They came first. The bigger ones come, sometimes those big ones come because we have a life contract with them. So in past lives, maybe we saved a dragon, we saved a fairy, and they owe you. It's called a boon, B-O-O-N. And when they have a boon, they are for lifetimes. So you might have saved a dragon hundreds of lifetimes ago, but that dragon is now boon to you or connected to you for the rest of your lifetimes. We can also have blood, meaning that one of your ancestors might have got it on with a dragon or fairy person, which also means that you are now connected to those bloodlines, meaning that you have that dragon blood, you have that relationship already in your blood, and so they come forward. Or you're a guardian. So sometimes some of the Celtic ancestry in us, we were guardians or druids that looked over the dragon or the land, and this also creates relationship with us, just waiting for us to discover it.
You know, it's really interesting because, you know, my horse Shiloh, my angel horse Shiloh, you've talked to him many times. And I got into riding horses because I was just scared to death of horses because they were so big. And, you know, it's like, I love animals. Why should I be scared of this animal? So short story is that I'm like the worst horse rider on the face of the earth. And Shiloh will attest to that. But what I've always wanted to do, which makes no sense, I've always wanted to be a dragon rider. When I grow up, I want to be a dragon rider. You know, and there's just something about, I'm going to start crying. There's something, and the truth bumps they're running amok. But there's something about approaching that dragon with respect, with a relationship, and it goes beyond right relationship. The way
that's past life for you, sweetie. That's the reason why Dragon Riders of Pern by Anne McCaffrey was so powerful, because she took out of time and place the elves that rode the dragons. That was real life here on the planet. Again, there was a huge culture relationship on the planet even before we took physical form. When we moved from Lemuria to Atlantis, when we became more physical, then we were quite involved in all these cultures, and they were very vivid and very real here. Even if we, you know, some of that history was lost, it still means it was still here. So, and that wisdom is interwoven in our mythology and our stories, and writers are still pulling upon it, talking about that history and writing it into their stories, even if we label it fantasy.
Right.
So, and again, that's where trust in your heart. That's why you're getting such a huge emotional response from it, because this is past life for you. You're connected into it.
Right. But it just strikes me funny that, you know, a horse, which is small compared to a dragon, it's like, oh, I'm scared of that. But a dragon's like, whoa, hold on, let me put on my dragon riding suit, and I'm ready to go. Let's get you saddled up, bucko.
So here's another something to think about.
Yeah.
The Shiloh part dragon.
I didn't, yes. Yeah, you knew that.
Coming across different animal souls actually are inhabited together. So I'm seeing a lot of cats that are Star Nation. They're coming in cat form, and dogs are coming from Sirius. But I have run across a couple horses that were dragons in disguise, that some of the energy of the dragon went into the horse so that it can experience the physical. So when you say, are dragons physical? In a way, yeah, they're riding along. You know, the whole, what is it called? When you have two different souls in one body.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Walk-in. Yes. Animals can have walk-ins too.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's really funny because with some of the journeys that I've done, you know, Shiloh usually goes on a journey with me, and I'm not surprised about that. But as I've started to go farther out in the journeying, what's happened is Shiloh has changed into a dragon. And it's just really kind of awesome because Shiloh's going, okay, I'm going to change now. Are you ready? And then it's like, boom, there you go.
So definitely ponder on that. I think Shiloh is a dragon.
Yeah,
I think that's why Shiloh came to me so strongly. I remember when you first moved from Minnesota to Montana, Shiloh came to me and said she needs to move.
I remember that.
Back and see me.
I remember that. And we were sitting there. I was sitting there in my chair in Minnesota, and we're just having the nicest conversation, you know, watching all the trucks go by, the, you know, the big 18-wheelers and everything. And then you brought that up. I'm going, oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah. So moved and did it. And, you know, like you said, we are moved around because the dragons are seen as helpful in one spot and are not using us, from my perspective, as chess players, but using us as helpers.
Yes, exactly. Again, I like that idea. We're an acupuncture needle. We bring
Yeah.
light into the world where it's needed. Mother Earth just moves us around where she needs help.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So let's talk a little bit more about some different mythical creatures, okay?
Yay, yeah.
I knew you'd like that. You talked about the fire before. What about a phoenix?
Oh my gosh, definitely people have been experiencing it since 2012 with that shift to contract. Also, there was a lot of clearing that happened because all of us had to reclaim what and who we are, which is we got to realize we're not human beings, we're beings. And a lot of times there is a lot of history and a lot of different life experiences we had in different forms. So we've been reclaiming those relationships. We've been reclaiming those gifts. We are feeling our wings on our back. But to do that, we had to burn away all the stuff that didn't serve us. So we've gone through several Phoenix burns since 2012. This is when your life blows up, your relationships blow up, everything burns away. Your marriage is like transformed. That's the Phoenix. So the Phoenix has been having a heyday.
So let me ask for clarification. Are you talking as a society, as a culture, or are you talking individually, or all of the above?
All of the above.
Oh, there you go, Joe.
Yep. The Phoenix has touched all of us and burned away, but also individually Phoenix has come in many different forms. We have fire dragon, a Phoenix, a manticore, you know, different creatures have come forward. Medusa has come forward for us in empowerment, changing, shifting, and reclaiming who we are. So we had to come back to the very center. If you think about a spiral, we had to go back to the very center to figure out who we are. And at the very center of that spiral is the fire of creation. And what do you do with the fire? You jump in it and you get burned a little bit, but that singeing burns away all the stuff we thought we needed and got rid of. I moved locations and I got rid of 62 carloads of stuff. It was so empowering. I didn't need all that stuff. It really lightened me up. And look at the theme this year. It's a completion year, 2019, but still there's a lot of people letting go of stuff. Does it bring joy to your life? You know, that's a common theme right now with the cleaning. So, you know, it's again, it's that releasing, surrendering, and letting whatever needs to be let go of turn into ash, and letting that ash feed you and transform you.
And what I find very interesting is when we are asking ourselves, does it bring us joy? We have to know ourselves really well to know if it's bringing joy. Instead of somebody just said, oh, this book should bring you joy, Janet. Here, I'm going to give this to you because I'm cleaning out my house and I'm just passing it on, kind of thing.
Exactly. So, it's all about empowerment again. It's not about what people tell you or they're official and have a DR in front of their name. It's about you knowing what's right for you. So right relationship also applies to us. Are we having a right relationship with us?
Oh, that's like $1 million question, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes, that's not even a rabbit hole. It's like a black hole we can go down because so many of us don't know what right relationship is to start with, and to have it with ourselves when we think that we are having it with ourselves when we're really not. And that is where I can see the dragon come in, where I do see the dragon coming in and saying, you've bound yourself up, then you have the freedom to unbind yourself. I will support you, but I will not unbind you for you. You can do that.
No, exactly. And the dragon can help make that mind be quiet, and you can have a relationship with your mind, and not just with your mind, but that we have our own soul guides. This is such a huge concept. I had a car accident years ago and had to spend a lot of time with myself and recovering from it. And I realized that I wasn't trusting. And when I got really angry with my guides and they told me to trust, I was like, what the heck are you talking about? They said, look at the word trust and write it down and look to the middle of it. So if you write down the word trust, T-R-U-S-T, the very middle of it is the word us, which I was like, I do trust you guys. They said, no, look to the very middle, T-R-U-S-T. And I went, oh, I'm not trusting me. So I had to really sit and really think about what that meant. So when I really sat there and thought about it, the elders, the native elders around the world, they have always talked about the 4 directions, the 4 seasons, everything comes in 4s. So that also applies to us. We have the mind that we really acknowledge that things, it comes up with great ideas, but it can also come up with like scary things too. We have the heart, which connects us to the spirit that has the divine plan. It's our connection to spirits and all that. We have our emotions, which is that inner child and emotions, which is like experiencing life, and it's all juicy, like when you eat a nice, yummy, warm cinnamon roll. Oh, yummy. And then we have our physical body, the temple or amusement park that we experience life in. So that's 4 parts: mind, heart, emotions, and body. And a lot of times we leave out different parts. I mean, we think of only our heart and our mind. If you think about it, last time you went to a spiritual fair, what was it called? A mind, body, spirit. They leave out emotions. So because of that, we have disconnection. We don't have a right relationship because we're not including all 4 partners. So when you have a relationship with those selves, what's really great is when you know what your mind sounds like, your heart, your emotions, your body, anything outside of that is your guides. So then you can tell what your cat's trying to say or what your dragon's trying to say, because you can differentiate the voice from your own core spirit guides from outside.
You've made a couple of comments referring to, yeah, exactly. And I should tell the audience too that Raven and I are on Zoom right now and we're watching each other. So when you hear us laughing, we're making all these hand signals and everything. Silly us. You know, if we'd gone to school together, we would have been separated, Raven. They would have put us, not even in the same room. They'd have put us at different ends of the school. I could see that. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, no, I remember. So one of the interesting things that you've referred to a couple of times is how you've taken the time to sit with it. You've been going through these changes and you've had to sit with it. And sometimes I think, I know I can think that, you know, if I'm sitting with it, well, okay, I'm sitting here and I'm watching Netflix, but I'm sitting with it. And that's not really it, is it? It's sitting with it is going into that depth, into that, for me, it's going into that deep water, deeper than I thought I could go into, knowing that I'm supported, knowing that I've got help there, but having also the courage to do it. So it's not just, oh, just sit with it and it's gone. Wouldn't it be so lovely if that was the case?
Yeah. And again, that's where these guides come in handy, because they can hold your hand when you're sitting there in the dark, dancing with your skeleton, trying to figure things out. Right. And we laugh, you know, that's another thing is when we get way too serious with ourselves, then we perpetuate beating ourselves up. So, you know, they can really help us be like, you don't need to do that, or come on, let's go for a walk. And that's the other thing is, you know, sitting with it doesn't mean you have to totally sit in bed with the covers over your head and not eat or sleep or do nothing for like 24 hours, unless you want to. I actually rather like moving meditation, because otherwise I will fall asleep. And falling asleep is not a bad thing. Sometimes they knock us out because that's the best way for them to get us to work on ourselves. So I went for walks. I did a lot. It was great, you know, walking. And then when you're walking, you just you ask those guides to go for a walk with you, which is great, by the way, because they always like bring nature. I always invite the fairies when I go for a walk, and then all the birds and stuff come check us out because they want to play together.
It's like Cinderella, isn't it? It's Walt Disney.
Right.
You know, it's like, whoa, look at that. Look at all those birds.
But, and then all that helps. So as you're talking and your head's spinning, then they go, well, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I didn't think about that. And then it just stops. The spinning stops and you get that clarity moment and you're like, oh, okay, I'm okay.
Now I get it. Now I see what you mean. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yes.
So it's okay to be in it. And again, the being in it, give yourself permission to chew the fat. You know, all of us have different timing. Like I went through grief of losing my mother. That's something you don't get over quickly. It never leaves you. So I gave myself permission to have that time to be with the grief, to be with those emotions, to be with those thoughts, be with all of it. And, you know, ask someone else, if you need to download on someone, ask if they're in the right place to receive you. That's huge too, because not all of us can be in that space. I realized I was not in the space to hold space for other people for a while. So I actually had to step back and take a break. And that was part of that respect that the dragons taught me, is have respect for myself and have that boundary and allow myself to go in the cave and sit with it and cry. And it was so good. I feel like my friend asked me, what joy did you get last year? What joy did you discover last year? And I turned to her and I said, this feels really weird, but the joy of my mom dying. And she went, whoa. And I said, because I know I can get through it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge.
Absolutely.
Still there. There's still commercials I see, and I bawl big crocodile tears. But I know that I can get through it, and I can help others through it now too. So again, it's amazing. Spending that time with yourself, not being afraid of it, is huge. That's what transforms you.
Exactly. And just a wayside here is that with grief, I don't think it's meant to be, by yourself. It's not meant to be a lonely experience. It's supposed to be done in community.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why people would like wail together. I mean, God, you're kidding? In Italian funerals, they would hire the wailers to come cry because their tears filled the river of Styx so that the people could sail across and get to the land of the dead. They needed the tears.
Again, truth bumps.
Right?
Right.
So, yeah. But it's honoring it because everybody processes differently. There was times when I had my community, my tribe I could go cry with, and there's times I could go to the cave and just be by myself. And part of my community was them. So they were my community and held space for me too. I really felt so much love from my angels, dragons, fairies, ancestors, death spirits, you name it. I work with a lot.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I do hear you on that. So are we good with the Phoenix? Is there anything you'd like to add about the Phoenix?
Embrace the flames, and especially for us women and men, because I know some men that are having hot flashes. Hot flashes are beautiful. Menopausal here, having hot flashes. I invited in the dragon, but I had to invite in the Phoenix fire too, and embrace that heat, that fire. I said it, and I'm getting a hot flash because it's all about restoration. It's about rejuvenation. It's burning away. So, and get ready. It's like when you burn away, sometimes oh my gosh, see relationships, see things that are around you that you just didn't see, and all of a sudden you can see them now. They get revealed, and it's time to make a new boundary. So fire is a beautiful element. Again, Fire Phoenix is connected to that element. So not only do you have a relationship with the Phoenix, but you're also getting a relationship with that element. And truly, we are all elements. So this relationship ultimately is, again, a reflection of the relationship with yourself and your own element within you, fire.
Excellent. Thank you. What about harpies? Care to say anything about harpies?
I know, totally. We're gonna chat a little bit. So this is huge. I did this class on mythical beasts, and I kind of opened it up as I do a meditation prayer and really channel in information. So I asked all these mythical beasts who wanted to come forward and be in this class, and I had harpy show up, and I was like, oh.
Okay. Well, since you're here.
Right? I was like, okay, revenge and getting back at bad men and stuff. And let's face it, there's definitely a lot of people that are holding the harpy flag up because they want to get back and they want that revenge and they want that voice and all that. And there's definitely, some power in that, because sometimes as a woman, we need to stand up to patriarchy and all that. And we can understand having that strength as that beast, the harpy. But when you do the research, and they had me do the research because that's what they love making me do, I found out that harpies were actually rainbow feathered women messengers for the goddess Isis.
Get out of here.
Holy cow, that's a completely different spin. So they were actually way before that, these beautiful messengers that brought light, that brought love, that brought the inspiration of magic and the goddess Isis to the people. But as culture and other cultures come in, the Romans came in and changed the story and made them monsters. They did that to a lot of the powerful women in mythology because they were afraid. So Medusa, they turned into a monster. Harpies, they turned into a monster. So really, we got to look at when these different beings approach us. If you get repulsed, if you're afraid of the dragon, of the harpy, the manticore, these different beings that come forward, check yourself and make sure, is this your fear or what you've been conditioned to fear by society? So
Great
is
question.
the mythology there? Do you need to change your own mythology and have your own relationship with this being, because it doesn't fit? And having the name Raven, I totally understand that, because if you look at Raven, Raven is the goddess of war and death, Celtic wise, but here in the Northwest, Raven is the bringer of light and creation. So it's really about how you want to have a relationship with that being. And harpy is a beautiful messenger to work with. Holy cow. So I recommend harpy. Another one is manticore. Manticore is half lion, half scorpion. So the lion, you get close to it, try to give it a hug, and it stabs you in the back. And this is actually what they base Beauty and the Beast on. The Beast was a manticore originally, and then they changed it. Hans Christian Andersen changed it into the more beast shape, lion shape of what we now know in Disney and the movies. And the manticore is really about being selfish or being too prideful. So it's that pride lion, but then it has the poison of its own pride with the tail. So, but again, manticores, when you really get to know them, they're amazing. They're all about that protection, about being that strength and doing your own way, even though other people are like, no. They're very fierce. They're very, very protective. And yeah, I had one. I invited him forward to get his information, and he totally moved in. So I have a new boy. His name is Manny. I love him.
Manny. So next time you move, Manny's going with you, right?
Yeah, totally. And that's the nice thing. These spirits, they leap into our stones. So if you feel the urge to grab a stone before you leave a location, it's because the spirits are coming with you. Stones will oftentimes carry our spirit guides. So yeah, all 42 5-gallon buckets of stones, you betcha I moved a lot of spirits.
Yeah, I can believe that. I can. Now, you also made an interesting comment, and I'm going to backtrack a little bit here, a few paragraphs ago, when you said you can choose to be in relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is so powerful. It's like you don't have to. Again, it goes back to the right relationship and honoring how you're feeling about creating this relationship.
It's like meeting a stranger on the road. You might have someone that's really excited to be your friend, but if you're not ready, then you can say, I'm sorry, I'm just not ready to have a relationship. So yeah, if you had a giant manticore come to you, like winged lion with a scorpion tail, and you're like, oh my God, I'm freaking out, then they'll respect that and pull back until you're ready. So a lot of different spirits will do that. They'll even, a lot of the fairy guides and things, they'll actually take a disguise and wear it until you're ready, and then they'll take it off. So a lot of them will do that and reveal. So it's not that you've lost a guide. Sometimes your guides evolve because you're truly ready to see what they really are.
Yes, and I think also that, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, that in the past, I've always thought if a guide approaches me, then it's my responsibility to be with that guide. But that's not always true, because it's that relationship together. You make a relationship together.
Well, it's co-creation. And that's the other thing is we tend to put our guides up on a pedestal. We'll have a relationship, but we'll see them as perfect, and us lowly humans, why would they want to work with us? We need to throw that right out. It is a co-creation relationship, meaning that they benefit from working with us and we benefit from working with them. Because when we help them, let them come in and help us, guide us, protect us, we actually are giving them the ability to evolve and change too. They're going to. Angels talk about this all the time. As they help us, they earn their feathers on their wings. So that goes for the dragons. That goes for any of these beings. They want to have a relationship with us. A good example is the fairies. Holy cow. They love us. They're our brothers and sisters of the land. They have been our playmates forever. But it's like being in a party and no one can see you. And you're sitting there and no one can see you. Everybody's walking by, having a great time, conversating, eating good food, and you're just sitting on the couch holding space because no one can see you. And then all of a sudden, someone across the room looks right at you and waves. You freak out. You're like, oh my God, someone can see me. You run right at that person. We get that feeling sometimes when we're in the woods, when we're in these natural places. And that's why sometimes some of you out there are getting overwhelmed because you're like, oh my God, they rush at you. So just put the call out there, say, hey, I'm willing to work with you. Please be gentle, and please adjust your energy to mine to be gentle. You have the right to say that. That again, that's that right relationship. You have the right to be able to ask for, be gentle, to be appropriate, and to make that very clear their intentions.
And it's very good that you could set boundaries.
Exactly.
Just like you do with humans.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Are there any other creatures coming forward right now, Raven, that would
There's
like to speak?
There's a lot of creatures coming forward. And again, the reason why we're seeing an influx of different movies, shows, and books in our artwork of dragons, of, you know, sea serpents, and wow, I mean, the list goes on and on, of like winged lions to griffins. Of course, we're seeing the Norse gods. I mean, their religion is like the #1 religion in Iceland, Greenland right now. Yay! The reason why all these goddesses, and different creatures are coming forward is because to work in this realm, again, those veils are coming down. They need to make a relationship with us to anchor their energy into the earth so that they can be available for generations to come. So working with that guide, working with that winged Pegasus, working with the Sasquatch, you're helping to anchor in their energy so that they can help generations, 7 generations forward, to continue work with those beings. So you're doing a huge service to them by working with them.
Is it that soon, 7 generations, or is it farther out than that?
Oh, it's further than that, but I'm just using the phrase 7 generations. But no, we're talking hundreds of generations forward, but they have to anchor their energy in. So if you look at it, I mean, bless Sci-Fi Channel for having all those horrible movies about manticore and whale sharks and everything else they do, because, you know, even us watching silly movies like that, you're still anchoring in the energy and making it available. So again, you get to choose what kind of relationship. You can pull out all the glamour glitz of the Hollywood and then make your own relationship with this cute cuddly lion with a scorpion tail that loves you to death named Manny.
Because it's personal.
Exactly. Make it personal. Yes. And again, just because you read it in a book doesn't mean that's the type of relationship you have with it. It's very personal. You decide the type of relationship you have with that being.
Because the dragon may not have read that book, or might have read it and thought, that's a bunch of shit. We're just going to do it differently here.
Yes, totally. And that goes for any of them. Mermaids to
exactly.
To, oh my gosh, like every culture. And that's another thing, is when you're digging up your ancestry, because that's the big thing, everybody wants to work with their ancestors, you might find in doing that ancestral work, you end up working with some old ancestral creatures because they're linked to your family. So be open to that. And maybe even go, if you find out that you're from Ireland or you're from, you know, Nova Scotia, look up what some of the mythology is on that area and see if you have a emotional pull to any of these creatures, and ask if there's a relationship there to make. How beautiful.
Right. So it all goes back to listening to yourself, watching out for that emotional hit, as you called it, and being aware of it, and then deciding what you want to do with it.
Exactly.
Because you have the power to do or not to do as you want. Yes.
Exactly. And have fun with it. Again, spirit, and working with spirit, and just as we're laughing and having a good time talking, that's the same way we're supposed to be with our spirits. It's not supposed to be work, and it's not supposed to be like, it's supposed to be fun.
Oh no, sometimes it does go, I'm going, you want me to what? Are you kidding? I don't want to talk to you for the next week.
You know? That's okay, but we do that to our friends too sometimes.
Exactly. What would you like to leave the listening audience today, Raven?
Well, the one thing is, again, because we're in the physical, sometimes we need to have that physical connection. So I brought my buddies here next to me, and I just want to share a couple things. This is something I found on Amazon. It's a winged lion. Winged lions are really good. Shidazar, or Inaya is the names. It's a Persian name for a winged lion. We see them all the time protecting our churches and buildings and things like that.
Museums.
But they're huge protection. They love protecting us. And again, Amazon. So you can bring that home and then have that physical guardian by your doorstep. You can get some great carvings online. Here's a beautiful serpentine dragon. Serpentine is a green stone you find very commonly here in the Northwest, while all of our rivers are green. But serpentine, hence the name serpent, is connected to the dragons big time. So here's a dragon statue, and then here is it in claw form, natural serpentine. So you can get some great dragon carvings out there. And it's like a way to, again, to remember I said their energy is anchoring. So when you get like a dragon carving or a dragon skull, here's a big skull, they can actually anchor their energy into this stone so that you can work with it more readily. You can feel it, you can hold it, you can, you know, lay with it, and you can use that for healing or communication. And don't overlook the dollar store. Here's a dollar store little glitter.
Look at that.
Dragon. I know, that cute. It was $1.
It's adorable.
So, you know, lots of things you can do. You know, you can make this a fun connection, but that physicalness of having it there, wearing on it, is, again, strengthening that connection to these beings. And then If you want to learn more about some of the crazy creatures that came forward, my mythical beasts, and Griffin is who started it. I actually did a class on it on learnitlive.com/Raven. Take a look at it. It's called Voices from Spirit. Every month I give a voice to a different spirit guide that wants to come forward to help people make a deeper connection, have a relationship with it. I really believe in that too. So I provide a class, I do the research, I get information, but I do a meditation and an activation of the energy. So that way, if that being, mermaid, griffin, whatever comes forward, you can recognize that energy and go, hey, I know you, come over, let's have a good conversation. So I do that for a being every month. And a couple months ago, I did the mythological creatures, and it was jam-packed with
I
a
bet
lot
it
of
was.
creatures in there.
Yeah.
So take a browse. I've got like over 45 classes there. And then if you want to get to know me more, if you want help, because that's what I do, I help people get to know their guides around them, their ancestors, go over to ravenmedium.com.
Thank you so much. This was just delightful.
Yay! Thank you for having me here. This was awesome. And bless you for doing this right relationship, because that's it. We need to start actually seeing these beautiful beings as our family. Yay!
Boom. Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I will get everything up on the episode page, and we are good to go.
Yay! Thanks, everybody.